Hi everybody, welcome to the Solar Eclipse version of Mark McNutt's Astro Update. And I'm the Astrowizard himself, and here we are in Deadwood, next to Deadwood Creek, which I love living next to a creek, and happy spring and all that. So I'm hoping to get this out early so there's some good attention to such an amazing event that we have. This is a solar eclipse. Always comes in pairs with the lunar eclipse, which we just had, but usually if the solar is highly visible, then the lunar's not. And so April 8th, usually the morning and early afternoon hours, it's going to be 4 minutes of totality in certain locations. But I want to caution you that even if it's not a total eclipse for you where you are, it's likely to really visually affect things, and energetically, certainly, the alignment will really be a life changer. This is going to be, oh good, we have a cat showing up. This is going to be, they're my biggest fans. This is going to be the last eclipse for 20 years in the continental U.S., last total, even though there's 2 eclipses a year. But even if you don't get to see it in all of its totality, it will affect you. And the path goes from Texas on up to Maine, and so the whole entire eastern seaboard is going to get a good show if the sun comes out. The sun comes out because then it can go away. And here in Oregon, we're only getting, Western Oregon, we're only going to get about 20%, but that's okay with me because it's a time for meditation and for renewal. So this eclipse is sun and moon in Aries, of course, and we can really, it's a time of new beginnings. What happens is right before an eclipse happens, there is a kind of, the bill is due in terms of your shadow work and the energy that is going on in the background and all around you, like these cats, and so we're going from Pisces into Aries. We're in the Aries now, but it's the darkening of the moon, and usually the 2 weeks before a solar eclipse are a time of recapitulation and recognizing the lessons of the past and recognizing what it is you need to do in order to spring forward into the future. So this particular eclipse being early in the astrological year, which starts when the sun goes in Aries, this is going to be a real life changer. I know I keep saying that, and I'm really excited. If your birthday is around now, it's even stronger. But what we're going to experience is a movement from the shadow energy to the potential for building a new dream, building a new paradigm for yourself. And so Aries is the initiator. Aries is the spark and the match that gets things going. Usually Aries is not so much about staying power, that would be Taurus, but very much about being here now and being in the present with it. In fact, Ram Dass's birthday, April 6th, be here now. And so basically the influence of the solar eclipse has been a time-honored method for astrologers to look at an alignment that goes on, that actually, an alignment of sun, moon, and earth that actually moves a lot of energy. So in aeons past, it was about if, for example, an eclipse was occurring on a king's birthday, it would be, it would be an influence of great change. And so usually it has to do with the downfall of kings more so than taking power. It's more like a release, and the power of that solar eclipse is one that it restacks the deck. It's a starting point for something new. So here being at the end of the cycle, right before the solar eclipse, that would be as I mentioned, a completion, a flushing out of the past. And you want to do that because the influence will be one of moving into the future and being here now. And that being, how do you want to define that? What are your, if you could clear the slate right now and go anywhere and do anything, and not just like achieve your old dreams, but like, okay, let's say you're not imprinted with the past. Let's say it's just a time that where it's a 0 point. What would you do with that? What would you do with this rare opportunity? And it's definitely not an opportunity to miss. You know, it's an opportunity to zero out and to wipe the slate clean. Within each individual, there's a different story there. But certainly everyone has a story about it, and everyone will have a story. So as I mentioned, it's not so much about visibility. Now, here in the West Coast in Oregon, it's going to be happening just a little before noon. So it's going to be powerful because no matter where you are, the sun's going to be pretty high in the sky. So it's not going to be subtle. It's going to be like, hey, how come it's like dawn suddenly? That is, you know, that adds to the immensity of the change and the transformation. Pluto is at one end of the spectrum, but right now with there's most of the planets are in Taurus, Aries, Pisces, and Mars is conjunct Saturn, which is like taking a large amount of energy and really projecting it towards your goals. Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, and Saturn is about foundation. And Saturn and Pisces being very much about what your dream is. And so those are going to be about, those two in conjunction are going to be about putting your ideas and yourself into action and projecting that. So if you don't decide to change the world will change anyway. So you want to be in command of your own energy and your own timing now, because this is a time when you can easily project to the future. But if you're not paying attention to that, sure, you can be here now, but it's like it could be a lost opportunity if you don't, you know, take command of the energy. And that's the Mars-Saturn aspect of it. The Sun and Moon are always conjunct under this. Mercury goes retrograde on April Fool's Day, which I find really amusing, until the 25th of April. And one reason I'm doing this early. And so Mercury retrograde usually affects things in terms of on kind of a mental level. You know, we're speaking about being in command, but Mercury retrograde in Aries, conjunct the Sun and Moon, is going to be very much about like going with the flow, going with the surprises that are going on now. And I always like Mercury retrograde because it's a time when you can release yourself from thoughts in the past and that sort of thing. But certainly not a time when you're in control and commanding the mental vision of all things. So we have a cat. He's happy. He just wants that's caboodle as usual, and he wants to be in on the game here. So Sun and Moon in conjunction, conjunct Mercury retrograde. Again, that same theme of letting the old ways dissolve and letting it just kind of flow away. And then also Chiron, our favorite planetoid there, since Pluto is really a planet, despite what they say. Chiron is about the wounded healer. And Chiron also is in Aries right now. And it will be conjunct the Sun as well. So Chiron is about our inner wounds and about kind of like looking at our own power and looking at how we've used it, how we may have abused it. And so Chiron conjunct that Sun is sort of it's a time of release and reclamation. So for me, I'm going to do a lot of meditation on the morning of, and I recommend this sort of thing because right before the eclipse, the energy will get kind of dark but very clear, and the release can be really strong. I have the intention of really zeroing out. No rocks in the water that slow down my flow, so to speak. And anytime I'd sit next to a creek, suddenly those kind of metaphors, flow with me. And so, so for myself, I'm going to take it as a meditation time. And then what happens is, as the eclipse finishes out, it's going to be moved to a place of taking action. And so the month that follows up between April the 8th and about May 6th is going to be one of taking action on what you cleared the slate for. So, if it's full speed ahead for you and you pull that off, great, because it's going to allow you to really move quickly through a lot of change. And we'll all be amazed at what all happens during right about the eclipse time. There'll be a lot of surprises in store, and a lot of ways in which we, one after another, will be saying, I never thought that this would happen at this time, or just a month ago I was fill in the blank. It's going to be those kind of experiences. And how do you want to guide that? You can't control it because it's bigger than you. But how do you want to guide that? How do you want to infuse that in your body and embody something new and move with it? That's the key question. And now's the time to contemplate it. So there's many resources for the physical aspects and the the undying question of, can I see it, and how total is it? And you can consult with NASA on that. They have a really wonderful map and a lot of information, including watch your eyes and things like that. You don't go blind right away. It takes a bit. And so be careful out there, because this is one of the most important things we're going to experience. And so not another one, even though we had one particularly centered here in Oregon on August of 2017, this is going to be the last one for another 2 decades. So what does that mean to you? There'll be partial eclipses, and there'll be eclipses happening at night that we won't get to see. But this one, highly visible, highly powerful, big intentions. So how that's going to affect you personally, well, it's different for, big for the fire signs and inspirational there. But beyond that, get your reading, get a personal reading, and so that you can assess where to point that energy, because it's like bow and arrow, and you want to hit the target. So I guess that's enough for now, and please contact me if you want to have your personal reading. I want to thank Kate Harnaday as always for being my videographer, and she does such a good job. And I want to thank my cats for being my cats. I want to thank my creek for letting me feel it every day of my life, and the birds for showing up, and I give thanks for being in nature and sharing nature with y'all. Earth and sky, celestial, terrestrial. So Mark McNutt signing off.